Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. So we're back with issue 25 and it's lore time. We only have 2 pages to go through, but they are pretty fun articles anyway. So we look more in depth at Saim Hann, our craft world of choice for the collection. And we also learn about the Pantheon of Aeldari gods. So before we hit the table and do a little bit of reading, don't forget to do all the usual. Like this video, subscribe to the channel and drop me a comment down below. Hope you've been enjoying lore sections. If you'd like to hear more lore or even more stories, let me know. I have a huge selection of codexes, Black Library novels, and I'll try to do, maybe a little once a month reading for you from a random novel. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They stock everything you need, from new and used models with various different armies and game systems, to all your hobby supplies and your gaming equipment as well. They're also stockists of Hachette partworks, including the brand new Combat Patrol, so if you want extra issues, check them out. There's a link in the video description, and who knows, you might find your next hobby project at a bit of a discount. Right, let's head to the table and we'll learn a little bit more about the Aeldari. Here we are then, back with issue 25, and it's time to dive into our lore. So let's get one last look at our models, all updated with our 2 new paints. So our Librarian, our Winged Tyranid Prime, and of course our Farseer. And we can put these 2 paints into our paint drawer, ready for future combat patrols. And of course we have that new shade brush to use as well. So looking forward to future models and future combat patrols. But first off, let's dive into issue 25. So here we go. Past our paint guides. And here we have our first of 2 lore articles. So this looks at the Aeldari craft world known as Saim Hann. Warriors of the Saim Hann craft world surge into battle to defend their home. Saim Hann is an ancient craft world that is populated by some of the fiercest Aeldari warriors in the galaxy. Their bravery is legendary, and they are an honourable people, but their warlike tendencies have often led them into conflicts that might have been best avoided, and even into conflicts with other Aeldari craft worlds. According to legend, Saim Hann was one of the first craft worlds to separate from the Aeldari Empire, and it has retained many time-honoured customs from the time before the fall. They take a great deal of pride in their ancient traditions, and they value honour above all else. One of their many customs is to have their younger warriors race against their elders to win the right to ride a jet bike. They also prefer to settle matters quickly through the use of ritual dueling, rather than the protracted debate and decision-making used by other craft worlds. From these and similar customs, they have perhaps gained a reputation for recklessness or even barbarousness, for they are known by many as the Wild Host. However, this name might have a more literal origin, since their love of speed is well known, and Saim Hann warriors have become legendary for their vehicle-borne rapid assaults and ferocious fighting on the battlefield. Their attacks are modelled on the movements of a serpent. Swift deployment is followed by a rapid acceleration and a devastating lethal blow. World Rune. The name Saim Hann means quest for enlightenment in the Aeldari language. The same word is used for snake and for hidden knowledge, and so the world rune of the Saim Hann craft world takes the form of the cosmic serpent. Ancient culture. Saim Hann is steeped in traditions that can be traced back to before the fall of the Aeldari. All of the Saim Hann Azayani are fiercely proud of their identity, and all warriors of the craft world have a tattoo of the cosmic serpent, Saim Hann symbol, somewhere on their bodies. A common rite of passage for a young Saim Hann warrior is the catching of a striking dagger snake with their bare hands, demonstrating sharp physical skills as well as a considerable bravery. Even their organization follows an ancient convention. Rather than a centrally controlled army, Saim Hann forces are divided into independent groups called Wild Rider clans. When there is no other way, the perilous path is the only road to salvation. A strike force of wild riders jet over the frigid wasteland towards their enemy. So a beautiful Saim Hann host in their red and black. And of course, those white helmets really adding a little bit of punch and detail to the army. Wild Rider clans. In Saim Han society, almost every Aeldari belongs to a Wild Rider clan. The clans are led by Wild Rider chieftains, who are advised by a group called kinsmen. The kinsmen are formed from the chieftain's most trusted warriors and their close family. Blood ties are important to the Aeldari, and at all levels in the Wild Rider clan, brothers and sisters serve together, fighting alongside each other and protecting their own. So there we have it, a nice little look at Saim Hann and their history, their background, how they form their armies, and of course the all-important how they strike out in war. And moving swiftly on then to our final article, the Aeldari Pantheon. In ancient times, the Aeldari worshipped the whole pantheon of gods. At the head of the pantheon was Azayan, the Phoenix King and oldest of the gods. Beneath him stood his brother, Cain, and many other gods besides. The Aeldari themselves are said to be descended from Aisha, the goddess of the harvest, and Kurnos, the god of the hunt, who had the first Aeldari child, Eldanesh. On seeing her child alone, Aisha wept, and from these tears the forests and the oceans of the Aeldari homeworld were formed. The rest of the pantheon wished to give the child gifts also, and so Azayan himself gave the child and his descendants wisdom and self-knowledge. Hoeth, the wanderer, gave the Aeldari a sense of adventure. Moreheg, the mistress of fate, gave them foresight. The child's father, Kurnos, gave them desire, and many other gifts were given besides. Only Cain gave the Aeldari nothing, wishing to teach them that they were owed nothing and must take for themselves what they needed to survive. The pantheon was disrupted during the fall by the birth of Slaanesh, who hunted and consumed the gods of the old pantheon, taking their power for itself. Those who remain. After the fall, only two of the original pantheon survived, Cain, the bloody-handed god, and Sagarak, the laughing god. Cain went into battle against the new god Slaanesh. Slaanesh struck Cain down and smote him into fragments. Vanquished but not totally destroyed, these fragments of Cain live on still at the hearts of his many avatars. While Cain fought against Slaanesh, Sagarak made his escape into the webway and hid deep inside its secret roots and labyrinthine tunnels. There he bides his time, plotting his revenge against the Chaos Gods that have wronged him and his people. However, Rumour has it that he leaves his sanctuary from time to time to walk, disguised, among his followers, the Harlequins. As time went on, the idea of Ennead, god of the dead, began to form. The nascent deity yet to manifest is worshipped by some Aeldari who believe that with the power of all the souls of the dead, Aeldari, Ennead, will one day rise to overthrow Slaanesh. And this is where the cult of the Ynnari arose from. Phoenix Lords. The Phoenix Lords are the ancient exarchs who each founded an aspect shrine. The different shrines are focused on one of the separate aspects of the warrior god Cain. As the founder and leader of the shrine, the Phoenix Lord becomes the living embodiment of this aspect of their god. You see two of the more recent updates to the Phoenix Lords. The Jain Zar, Exarch of the Howling Banshees, who we will be getting some Howling Banshees in our next premium kit. And Morgan Ra, the Reaper, Exarch of the Dark Reapers, a awesome ranged combat themed Aeldari aspect warrior host. And yeah, we've had newer ones since. We've had an update to Baroth, Azamon, and a brand new Exarch in the form of Lycus. So yeah, some really awesome models come out lately. We're still missing, sadly, the striking Scorpion Exarch, Carnage, Phoenix Lord. Interesting to see what happens to him. Moving on though, we have a look at the Incarn. The Incarn is the embodiment of Ennead. Although it contains only a fraction of the power of the god, much of the time the Incarn awaits between dimensions, called forth by the energies of death that are released during times of war. When ready to manifest, the Incarn rips open a hole in reality, emerging in a cloud of ectoplasm. Pretty much detailed in his model, which is a brutal, very Slaanesh-y looking Aeldari. So half male, half female, surrounded in ectoplasm and the spirit stones of many dead Aeldari, wielding one of the crone swords. And Ennead's personal symbol there as well. Finally then, the Avatar of Cain. Every craft world holds an avatar of Cain, the bloody-handed god. Upon a great throne, his iron form sits immobile, waiting for battle to be joined once more. As war approaches, molten metal begins to flow into his veins, and he rises to fight. Wielding a weapon known as the Wailing Doom, his presence on the battlefield intensifies the battle lust of the Aeldari, just as it terrifies their foes. A beautiful model, about twice as tall as the original metal Aeldari avatar, which was a pretty impressive model back in the day, and one of my favourites. Sadly, I never got to paint one of the old metal models, but I would one day like to hopefully paint the awesome new plastic one. I think it'd be a really nice project to work on. Maybe when my Aeldari get big enough, I'll add one to them. Up next then, in our next video, is a look at our Tyranid faction abilities, but that is it for now. So yeah, nice short one. But I hope you've enjoyed it nonetheless, as we've learned a little bit more about our Aeldari focus. So as I said, up next is our gaming articles. So we got a little bit of a tutorial. It's not really going to be any full-size game of any sorts. It's going to be very similar to how we played out our Oath of Moment tutorial. So I hope you join me to learn the rules of the Tyranids, known as Synapse and Shadow in the Warp. But all that's left for me to do is to say thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.